Did you know that The Exorcism of Emily Rose was based on a true story? Yep. So, welcome back to the series where I tell you the true story behind the movie. My name's Eden, and today I'm going to be talking about The Exorcism of Emily Rose. And if you don't know what it's about, it's kind of like this legal horror film where this priest is on trial, essentially just trying to determine, is he negligent for the death of this girl that died during an exorcism. And it was based on a true story. So let's hop right into it. So essentially the story all starts in 1952 in Germany with the birth of this girl called Anneliese Mitchell. I don't know. Don't come for me. I'm the worst with pronouncing things. Anyways, so she was born in Germany to this very religious family, had a bunch of siblings, very much like the film. And up until she was 16, she kind of just had a pretty normal life. But unfortunately, in 1968, that would all change when one day Anneliese was at school and it was said that she literally just blacked out. And if you're thinking like, okay, that's a bit weird, but sure. It unfortunately all got worse when she would go home that night. And like the film, she was trying to go to bed and all of a sudden she just felt like this entity pressing on her and like pushing her into the bed, and she couldn't move. She was completely immobilized and she just felt like this person was trying to harm her. So obviously she freaks out. She runs and tells her family, and they take her to the doctor, who has absolutely no idea what's wrong with her. And so they take her to the neurologist as well, and they give her an ECG scan. And once again, it just comes up inconclusive. So obviously this isn't the result they were hoping for. But on the plus side, after this episode, it kind of just stopped and didn't happen again. So the family kind of just left and it was like, okay, that was weird, but maybe it was just something you ate. I don't freaking know. But unfortunately, this was not the end of her troubles, as 1 year later, this exact same thing happened to Anneliese again. She was at school. She had this like blackout episode, and then she went home and felt like this entity was like trying to force her into the bed. So obviously, once again, the family freaks out. They take her to the doctors and they have no idea what's wrong with her. They're just like, okay, like maybe it's like epilepsy, some sort of seizure, no idea. And this would essentially continue for the next 4 years. Every single year, Emily would just get this random episode and they would find nothing wrong with her. So eventually the doctors put her on this drug called dilatim. I can't pronounce things, I told you. And I tried. And this is like an anti-seizure drug. But once again, let's just remember that she was only having episodes once a year before she was put on this drug. But then as soon as she was put on this drug, everything just got way worse. So these annual episodes actually started turning into a daily incident. So Emily started to hear this strange, like, knocking sound. She would hear a voice speaking to her at nighttime, condemning her to hell. She started hallucinating demons and a voice telling her that she was meant to die. Also, very much like the film, she started smelling this strange burning smell, except it was even worse than the film because apparently it wasn't just like burnt toast or something. People said it actually smelled like burnt feces, which I don't even want to know why they knew what burnt poop smelled like. But anyways, apparently that was the situation in the house. Okay, so just have that little mental image for you. Her mother also said that one time she walked in on Anneliese staring at a statue of the Virgin Mary, because obviously they had a lot of religious objects in their home because they were like a religious family. And essentially it was said that Anneliese's eyes turned completely black and she just did one of these, like kind of in the film, like her spine kind of like bent backwards and it was just looked crazy. Yep, same thing happened in real life. So obviously the family is just completely freaking out and they're like, what the heck is wrong with her? You said it would get better when we put her on this drug. So they keep going to more doctors, more psychiatrists, who eventually come up with this diagnosis of saying it's some sort of psychosis plus epilepsy or seizures. But once again, they didn't know for sure. So eventually they switched her onto a more powerful anti-seizure drug called Trafalgar. Anyways, so they switched her onto a more powerful drug. And once again, everything just got way worse. It was said that her personality just completely changed. Like she used to be this very nice, calm, peaceful girl. Nene, that was just gone. She was like an aggressive little monster, basically, who just wanted to hurt herself and others. She also just destroyed any religious artifacts that she could find in the home. She started to eat bugs, her own pee. It was even said that she like developed this impossible strength and like throw her sister across the room. It was just madness, basically. So it was at this point that one of the neurologists basically suggested to the family that they should consult a priest. You heard that right. A doctor said, I'm out. Time for church time. Nay. But also note that this was a very religious community, so that's probably why. But anyways, the family took his advice, and that's exactly what they did. They went to the church, who also said, okay, this girl's possessed. Bug eating, okay, ticked off the box. And they performed the first exorcism on Annalise on September 21st, 1975. And yeah, something quite interesting happened during this exorcism. So, very much like the film, Annalise actually started speaking in different languages. She acted obviously like a demon. But she also mentioned something quite interesting. So apparently there was a priest that got kicked out of the church for doing some sort of bad stuff. And this was completely hushed up, like no one knew about it. But during the exorcism, Annalise actually brought this up. So this kind of was just further fuels to the flame for everyone involved that she was most definitely possessed by a demon. Unfortunately, this exorcism was not a success, but they would go on to later conduct 67 exorcisms on Annalise. You heard me right. Over the course of like 2 years or something too. It was just non-stop. And unfortunately, none of these exorcisms showed to have any sort of effect on her. She just continued to get worse to the point that she refused medical treatment. She stopped eating. They even had to tie her up so she wouldn't harm herself or others. So she was basically just like tied up in bed all day, and she even got down to 67 pounds. Mind you, this was like an average height girl. So just try to envision that. Absolutely horrific. So she had dark bags under her eyes, like wounds all over her body. And obviously as a result of this, she just succumbed to her injuries. Like you can't survive in this state for long. You have to eat, you have to survive. And unfortunately, Annalise ended up dying. So obviously, as a result of this, the police came and they were like, what the heck happened here? And an investigation was done. And eventually, everyone involved was put on trial for negligence. So this included her parents and the two priests, because there was like two of them that would alternate. And yeah, very much like the film, there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of autopsies shown, a lot of just crazy stuff that happened. One of them was apparently that it was discovered that one of the priests was schizophrenic. Like I said, this case is just crazy. Also, something interesting to note, remember the neurologist from earlier who literally told the family to go to the church? Yeah, very conveniently, he said, I never told them that. What are you talking about? I see no medical records of me writing that prescription. Essentially, everyone involved was like, oh, we never knew about it. Like, that's so crazy. We never approved. Anyways, as a result, Annalise's parents and then the two priests involved were actually found guilty of negligence and I think it was like second-degree murder or something. Yeah, essentially the jury just found that they all could have done more to save her. Even though she stopped eating, she started refusing medical treatment. They were like, at that point, she should have just been put in a hospital against her will. Also, something that was really interesting that was found during the trial is that they still could not come up with a diagnosis for her. They still had no idea. All the doctors would say, like, there's no way that her symptoms were a result of psychosis and epilepsy. They still had no idea what was wrong with her. Their only real theory was just that when someone is in a state of psychosis, you're not supposed to affirm their hallucinations or it just makes it worse. So essentially, they just kind of believed that like the family was making it worse, which I think any sane person that was having 67 exorcisms performed on them and being told daily that they were possessed by a demon would come to that conclusion. Also, very much like the film, it eventually just got to the point where Annalise just kind of gave up, and it was said that like she just truly believed, because of her upbringing, that she was meant to suffer in order to achieve this greater goodness in the end, or like she would be rewarded in heaven. So yeah, quite a sad story. But you're probably wondering, okay, that case was 50 years ago. Do we now know what was wrong with her? We must, right? We must. But no, still to this day, people have no idea what was wrong with this girl. But I have a theory. Remember how in the beginning of this video, I noted that as soon as Annalise was given drugs, her symptoms got worse. And then magically, once again, she was given another set of drugs and it just kept getting worse. I'm not a doctor, but I truly believe the drugs had something to do with her condition. Because especially it was from the 70s, right? Like those drugs have probably changed from what we use nowadays. Because I know people can say like, oh, like that's not the common side effects of the drug. You've never heard of that happening before. Have you read a pill bottle's side effects once? Have you seen the freaking list of possible side effects that a drug can have? It's freaking crazy. Like, at the end of the day, the truth is you never know how someone is going to react. They could have allergic reaction, they could hate it, it could do the opposite side effect. I genuinely think that had something to do with it. But yeah, at the end of the day, the case is just truly a mystery. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. What do you think was going on with her?